This month's edition of Chesapeake Sports Desk is brought to you by Forest Hill Lanes. This is Chesapeake Sports Desk. With your anchors, Robin Slagle and Rob Lee.
Good evening and welcome to the second edition of the Chesapeake Sports Desk on the Hartford Cable Network. I'm Robin Slagle and to my left is Rob Lee. We have an action-packed show for you tonight, including Aberdeen versus Falston and Aberdeen versus Edgewood in high school basketball. Plus, we'll have the skinny on the county swimming championship and the highlights from an exciting game between HCC and Southern Maryland College's men's basketball team.
Our own Chris Heidel will sit down with Terry Cranfeld, who is a former NFL cheerleader and now works for the Hartford County Public School System. Chris will also have the second part of his interview with Channel 2 News Sports Director Scott Garceau. Jim Murray from the LPGA will be here to talk about the McDonald's Championship coming up in June. And Bel Air High School graduate and LA Dodgers minor league prospect Shane Justice will be here as well.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back with all this and more.
This month's edition of Chesapeake Sports Desk is brought to you by Forest Hill Lanes.
Welcome back to the Chesapeake Sports Desk on HCN. I'm Rob Lee with Robin Slagle. First on the agenda tonight are some highlights from John Carroll versus the Bel Air boys basketball teams. The two teams met on January 21st. The game was all about defense, with Bel Air winning 48-37. Staying with basketball, we have some highlights from an exciting game between HCC and Southern Maryland College. 2 weeks ago at HCC, the Owls' Ryan DeVoe hit a three-point corner shot at the buzzer. The Owls won the game 71-68.
Now we'll go to Chris Heidel, who's with Terry Cranfeld, who knows a thing or two about being the most enthusiastic fan at the game.
Thanks, Robin. I'm here with Terry Cranfeld. She works for the Hartford County Public School System, but before her job, she was a Ravens cheerleader and a Baltimore Stallions cheerleader and a Bandit cheerleader. So, Terry, thank you for coming this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
I was looking over your bio, and you were a cheerleader for the Baltimore Stallions of the CFL for that one season before they moved back to Canada to become the Aldernauts, or the in Montreal. Talk about that last game at the 33rd Street, between that playoff game between the Texans and the Stallions, and what was it like? It's like the last CFL game here in Baltimore.
Well, the Stallion games altogether were just more fun, faster paced, everybody was so into it because football was back in Baltimore. So that last game was just amazing. It was, you knew you were going to win every game. It was the best thing. It was the best team ever because every time we came out, we knew they were going to win. And we knew they were going to win that day, and they did, and the excitement of the crowd was just incredible. The Stallion games weren't like the Ravens games in that the stadium wasn't filled, so you didn't have that aspect of it. But in the same respect, the fans that were there were so into the games and stayed to the very bitter end, and it was just an amazing experience. And they went on to win the Grey Cup, and I got to be part of that and be part of the players getting to hold the Grey Cup and everything like that. So it was definitely one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had.
And it took a while for you to become a Ravens cheerleader, because I know you were a diehard CFL fan. In 1999, you became a Ravens cheerleader. The first season they started doing cheerleading for for the Ravens. So talk about, you were an MVP of the squad a couple years after that.
I cheered for the Ravens for 2 years. They started having cheerleaders the first year they moved into the new stadium. It was the inaugural year, excuse me. And the first year they had cheerleaders. We had a great time. We were still working out all the kinks, but it was so much fun. Definitely a different atmosphere. The second year, I became the captain, one of the captains of the squad, and ended up being one of the MVPs that year. So it was a fun year, and I ended up actually quitting cheerleading after that year because you really don't get paid all that much to cheerlead, and I had just graduated college the commencement day was the first day of practice, so I left the commencement ceremony and went straight to practice. So I really didn't have time to find a job in my career, and so I had to go that route.
So talk about your career now. You were, before the public school system, you were working for the Lung Association. So talk about your career now. Do you like doing it?
I love working for Harford County Public Schools. In fact, it's closer to my home. I live in Harford County now, and I learned of Harford County through working with the American Lung Association. So it's a great job working in the Public Information Office with Don Morrison and Debbie Everett, and we get to talk to all the parents and the great people and the teachers that work for the school system. So it's definitely a great opportunity for me, and coming from the American Lung Association, I bring with it all of the background of communication skills and PR and things like that. So it's been a fun job.
Yeah, before you started your career, you went over to that Japan trip, with the NFL. They brought like 6 teams. It was the Redskins, the Falcons, and the Saints, and they brought on the USO trip. What was it like going to a foreign country?
It was definitely different, but to be honest, I only saw the military bases. So I only saw American people and American cultures, really. We were working the whole time. We visited all the main bases in Japan and danced for all of the military troops over there. It was a fun experience. We went to a lot of the hospitals and things like that. So it was a great experience for me as a cheerleader, and that was the beginning of my second year, my second season. And they pick one cheerleader from each squad, and we all go over together, and you form such great bonds with these people because you've never met them before, and you have to go and dance with them in a foreign country. So they're all still my friends today.
So my last question is, when I was looking over, do you have one story that you remember from all these experiences being a cheerleader for the Ravens, the Stallions, the Bandits, everything you did with cheerleading? Do you have one story that you always will remember and you want to tell people?
You're going to laugh because it's actually an embarrassing moment for me, but it was the very first game ever, September 6, 1998. It was the first game in the new stadium, and I was so excited to be cheering for the Ravens. And I ran out on the field, and we were all on the field. Everybody was at a different yard line, and I was supposed to throw a jump. And I threw a jump and landed flat on my back. And got up real quick, hoping nobody noticed, but there's 70,000 people that were sitting there staring at me. So I guess, unfortunately, one of my main memories was an embarrassing one, but I had so much fun. And there's so many more memories, I can't even explain all of them, but the tryouts for Ravens is actually this weekend, and every year about this time I always get an itch to go do it again, but I don't have time.
All right, Terry, thank you very much for being with me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll send it over to Rob at the desk.
Thanks, Chris. We're continuing with cheerleading. Here are some highlights from the Cheerleading Championship. Prepped and excited for each game, cheerleaders worked hard with great enthusiasm and happy faces to keep the crowd and the players involved and motivated. C. Milton Wright finished the county's winter cheerleading championship in first place. C. Milton Wright flipped her way onto the judges' scoreboard with an outstanding 233.5 points. Coaches Allison Stengel and Tony Hugo were proud that their very difficult routine paid off. The Aberdeen Eagles, trailed close behind in second place with a well-earned 211.5 points, joined the Mustangs at the Community College of Baltimore County at Dundalk for the cheerleading regional. The winners continued on to compete in the first ever state championship tournament. Stay tuned with us. We'll be right back with Jim Murray and the LPGA news. Plus, we'll have some swimming highlights and a whole lot more.
This month's edition of Chesapeake Sports Desk is brought to you by Forest Hill Lanes. Harford Cable Network, your place to turn for local stories of interest, sports, government, recreation, and more. HCN, a division of the Harford County Council, is a public education and government channel, or PEG, and is funded by fees paid by your local cable operator. For more information, including how to submit programming for air, visit our website at harfordcable.org. Harford Cable Network, showcasing the best of Harford County. We are your county connection.
Welcome back to the Chesapeake Sports Desk on HCN. Now we're going to the exciting world of golf. Here's Ben Butanis with Jim Murray from the LPGA. Ben?
Thanks, Rob. We're joined by Jim Murray, who is the media director for the McDonald's LPGA Championship, which will be held in June at Bully Rock Golf Course. Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Ben, I wore this hat for you, little Ben Hogan.
I like it.
I've changed hats a few times, but Bully Rock's been beautiful. We've been there 1 year. We're looking forward to June 5th to the 11th.
All right. Well, before we go into the LPGA and obviously what's happening in Bully Rock and all, I'd like to take a little trip back in time. Now, growing up, you grew up in Philadelphia, right?
I'm a Philadelphia guy all the way. Rocky 17, Rocky 6, they just made.
Well, I assume that, you were a Philadelphia Eagles fan growing up. Now, for the people at home that don't know, what does it mean to you to have actually become the general manager of your hometown team there in Philadelphia?
Well, you just spent your time on defense. It was quite a job. I was a very lucky guy. I had a mentor who taught me about sports, a guy who was the baseball coach at Villanova, later the athletic director. I worked there. And getting a chance to work in your hometown to see the power of sport to do good, it led to the founding of the Ronald McDonald House through the generosity of Leonard Toews and through Herb Lotman and Frank Quinn, the guys who are the founders of this tournament. They were coming down the Vatican, the Pine Valley Fairway, and Herb had an affinity for juvenile diabetes, and Frank had the Ronald McDonald House. And together they started this tournament 25 years ago, and we've raised almost $44 million.
Okay. Now, as I was looking through your biography there, Jim, I couldn't help but notice that you really have a passion for, helping people out in the community that maybe aren't as well off as yourself. I mean, you're the founder of many, quite a few different charities or organizations, and you're very involved in that. Talk a little bit more specifically about the Ronald McDonald House and how that really got started and your involvement with that.
Well, that's a miracle, Ben, and once again, there was somebody in need. We had a player, Fred Hill. His daughter, Kim, had leukemia. And what you find out about sports fans and anybody watching this program, they'll do anything to help a kid. And we got together, started something called Eagles Fly for Leukemia, not grammatically correct, but literally helping your neighbor. And we met a beautiful woman, Dr. Audrey Evans at Children's. She had a dream about starting a place for kids and families, not just kids, whose kids got this terrible cancer. And we have a beautiful house in Baltimore, one in Delaware, one in Philadelphia, and 243 all over the world. And it all came from the power of sport to do good, people's generosity. And when you come here and you see Rick Rounsaville at Bully Rock and that beautiful layout, you see, Clark Turner or Richard Alder building those houses, and the Patarakis family, John and Bill, who take care of the Baltimore house, inviting us down here, it was a perfect marriage. And so you can start out with just something little. This is a big golf ball, but a little dream of mustard seed can grow into a miracle. And with God's help, that's what happened.
Now, how did you actually get the LPGA to bring one of their major championships to, this area to really benefit the charities?
Well, it's a quarter century. We started at a club called White Manor up in Malvern, PA. 18 beautiful years at DuPont. And with Mr. Patarakis and Mr. Lotman being buddies, we came to Bully Rock last year. And it is amazing. It wasn't always the LPGA McDonald's Championship brought to you by Coca-Cola. It was the Kids Classic and then something else. But it is a major. We had a major winner. Annika's won the last, who just turned pro, finished second last year, Paula Kramer. So we got it all. We got the young kids, we got the icons, and we got a great tournament for the whole family to watch. It's, you know, people sometimes are intimidated by golf. Bring everybody out there and have a great day, you know.
Well, that really is terrific, and I know personally I'm looking forward to going out there and seeing that. So that's the LPGA Championship coming to Bully Rock Golf Course in June. And Jim, I just want to thank you for being here today.
Ben, thank you. I don't know if we're supposed to shake hands or do knuckles, whatever those guys do. And we appreciate being part of Hartford County. They've been great to us, and we hope we can pay back a little.
Well, thanks. Okay, we're going to throw it back over to the Chesapeake Sports Desk. Here's Robin. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ben. The LPGA will be held in Havre de Grace in June, just about the time people will be ready for some relief from the summer heat. Right now, here are some highlights from the County Swimming Championship.
While all this cold weather may keep us indoors, it hasn't kept the Fallston Cougars from swimming, winning first place for both the boys and the girls divisions in the 2006 Hartford County Public School Swimming Championships. The Fallston Cougars swept Bel Air away with a 144-point lead. In total, Fallston had 586 points, Bel Air had 422. North Hartford had 380, won one race. C. Milton Wright had 366 points, Havre de Grace had 239. Aberdeen had 134, Harvard Tech had 108, Edgewood had 106, and Joppatown was at the bottom of the pack with 65 total points. Nick Sakil, who had led the Cougars to the exciting achievement, also earned some gold medals of his own, winning the 200 and 500 freestyles.
Speaking of medals, everyone here at the Chesapeake Sports Desk would like to congratulate Bel Air native Kimmy Meisner, who made the 2006 U.S. Winter Olympics figure skating team in Torino, Italy. Kimmy, the youngest member of the U.S. team, came in 6th last Thursday following her free skate.
And back to swimming, in the girls' finals, the Fallston Cougars did not win a single event, yet they had enough swimmers to come up with a winning total. The C. Milton Wright Mustangs finished with 5 titles, Bel Air with 4, and North Hartford won the last event. Laura King of C. Milton Wright can now hold her head up high after winning the 200 freestyle and 100 butterfly. Her teammate Lauren Buck can join the celebration after finishing first in the 200 individual, medley, and the 500 freestyle. But C. Milton Wright wasn't the only team that went home happy. Amy Boegger of the Bel Air Bobcats now holds the title for winning both the 50 and 100 freestyle.
This month's edition of Chesapeake Sports Desk is brought to you by Forest Hill Lanes.
Welcome back to the Chesapeake Sports Desk on HCN. Just about everyone is gearing up for baseball these days. With the 2006 season about to start, Chris Heidel sat down with the 2001 Bel Air High School graduate and Towson University star Shane Justice, who spent last season in the LA Dodgers farm system as a shortstop. Chris?
Thanks, Robin. I'm here with Shane Justice, who played 4 years at Bel Air High School on the Bobcats team, plus he played college ball at Towson University, and now he's playing in the LA Dodgers farm system. Shane, thanks for coming by this evening.
Thank you.
I was looking over your stats and your bios and all that stuff, and you played high school ball at Bel Air High School with Mike Ennis, who a good coach who they won a state championship in 1996. Do you have a greatest memory playing baseball with him?
Well, a lot of good memories. I mean, we won the county championship in my sophomore year in '99, and then in '01 we won it again. But probably my greatest moment would be my junior year when we beat Fallston. They were ranked first in the state, and we beat them 3-1 at home, and that was their first loss of the year. I mean, it was a fun experience, and you know, it was good to beat the #1 team ranked in the state.
So you, after 4 years at Bel Air High School, you got a scholarship to go down to Towson University to play baseball for the Tigers, and you know, they play in the Colonial Athletic Association. Yeah. And so, do you have like a great team? You know, do you have a fondest memory of that playing college ball, or there's a college that you always loved to play against?
I mean, our best year was my senior year. I mean, a lot of us guys, we were a good chemistry. We had a good chemistry. A lot of us were 4-year seniors, and we just felt comfortable with each other. And we went to the conference championship and lost, but it was a great year. We led the nation in home runs, and you know, I had my best year, which made it more exciting to end my senior year on a good note.
And your senior year made you that opportunity to get drafted by one of the story franchises in Major League Baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you talk about your first pro contract signing with the Dodgers, and you had to go out to Utah to play in the single short season out there.
It was exciting. I mean, I anticipated getting an opportunity, but you never know. I mean, the draft is it's kind of not luck of the draw, but you got to be in the right place at the right time, be seen by the right person. And fortunately, I got an opportunity, and that's all you want, especially not being a first-round draft pick. You want an opportunity to make it into the minors and get that chance. I mean, that's everybody's dream, playing baseball when you're young, to get an opportunity and get the chance to make it to the minors and then keep moving up, make it to the big leagues. So that's the goal.
What is the difference between hitting a home run with the metal bat? Because everybody in college hits with the metal bat, and when you get to the pros, you have to hit with the wooden bat. And it's a little transition. You can see a lot with the Ironbirds down in Aberdeen. Is it like a difference between hitting a baseball, or just you gotta get used to it?
Just take some adjusting. I mean, if you're a good hitter, you're going to be able to hit with the metal, and you're going to be able to hit with the wood. Fortunately for me, I played with wood bats since I was a sophomore in high school, so it was an adjustment. But I mean, I did well my first summer with out in Utah, and hopefully I'll do well in spring training in 8 days.
Yeah, speaking of that, you're going down to Dodger Town. There's a story town, Vero Beach, Florida, where everybody from the Dodgers has been training ever since like the turn of the century, basically. You know, with all the great names like Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and Kirk Gibson and Tommy Lasorda. You might see him down there.
Yeah, well.
So talk about your first trip to Vero Beach last year. You went down there for some special thing with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I went down there after the season. I went to instructional league, which was a good sign. I mean, they only invite probably 50 players, and you know, I was fortunate to get invited. And I met Tommy Lasorda, like you said. I met George Hendricks. I've met you know, a lot of the former greats with the Dodgers, and they got my feet wet. And now I go to spring training, I'm not going to be as anxious. I'm going to be ready to go. And now we have Nomar, we got Rafael Furcal. I mean, we got some big name, you know, professional players and all-stars. And I won't be with them, but you know, I'll see them around town, and it's an exciting time.
Well, Shane, good luck this season. I hope you make it in
Thanks.
spring training. Hopefully we might see you one day in Major League Baseball playing for the LA Dodgers. Hopefully make a trip to Camden Yards, and we'll hopefully see you.
Thank you.
Now let's send it back over to Robin. Robin.
Thanks, Chris, and that's it for today's show. Next month, we have John Gossi, 6th Dan of Aikido Martial Arts, and much, much more.
Thanks for being with us this month on the Chesapeake Sports Desk on HCN. Have a great night.
This month's edition of Chesapeake Sports Desk has been brought to you by Forest Hill Lanes.